Okay, the sum of the square of a number n, 34, should be pretty straightforward. X squared plus 34. All right, keep up if you're not sure. All right. Now, again, let me stress, you're going to be able to use your calculator, but I just feel like if you use your calculator on every problem, it will hurt you. All right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? I would want everybody in here to just look at that and tell me what the answer is. All right? You should know order of operation. And sometimes on the exam, they put questions that if you're not careful, the calculator will give you the wrong answer. Is everybody with me? And let me give you a good example. What is negative 2 squared? What is negative 2 squared?
4.
So I'm saying, even if you do it on your calculator, everybody type in negative 2 squared on your calculator. It's going to give you the wrong answer. The correct answer, well, actually, the calculator gives you the correct answer, which is what? Negative 4. Most kids think it's positive 4 because they think it's negative 2 times negative 2. So that's why I'm telling you, you have to be careful. A lot of times standardized tests put problems small, all right, so you can check your work with the calculators. Everybody with me? So negative 2, now if I say parentheses around it, now the answer is what? Now the answer is positive 4. But if I just say what's negative 2 squared, it's negative 4. Is everybody with me? All right? So again, the point I'm trying to make is be careful. And also, this is mental math, guys. All right? I don't want you typing that in on the calculator. I would just want you to say, look, 2 cubed is 8. 15 minus 7 is 8. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Everybody should be able to handle that. All right? So now I have what? 8 times 2 is 16. And, of course, 16 times 8, I think it's 128. All right, I think it's 128. All right, and if you're comfortable just saying, wow, I just want to type that on my calculator real quick, guess what? I'm okay with that. All right, but I just think everybody in here should just say, that was easy. All right, you should anyway. All right, so let's take a look now at question number 3. So what is 3 times W? 12. I would just say 12. And then you're adding, what's 8 minus V? 3. So basically what I'm saying, it's just easy. Oh, I forgot the T there. I didn't even see it. All right, 8. And then multiply that by what? T, which is 2. All right, so now my answer is just what? Be careful, 18, right? Because you multiply 3 times 2 first. All right, and then you do what? Then you add the 12. Yes, order of operations. All right, order of operations. All right. Now, again, it's better to speak up now, please, if you're not sure about something. And again, I prefer that you do that without a calculator. All right, I prefer that you do it without a calculator. All right. Number 4, simplifying the expression. All right. You're just combining terms, write it in standard form. So in this case, we would have what? 14w squared, and then plus 9w. All right. Now remember, when you're adding and subtracting, you don't combine terms, all right, if they're not exactly the same. W squared and W are not the same. Boys in the back, you guys with me? Come on now. Pay attention. All right. Try to do the problems one ahead of me. All right. Then you can kind of see what you need to do and what you don't need to do. All right. Number 5, I have to distribute. So when I distribute, I end up with 14y plus 7 plus 3y. And so that simplifies to, yep, 17y plus 7. Everybody good? All right. Now, here I think it's kind of silly, but I think what the point is they want you to add so it's easy to do the mental math. 32 plus 8 is 40. 5 and 15 is 20. 40 and 20 is what? 60. That's what they want you to do. All right? Just like in number 7. they would prefer that you do a third of 9, which is what? 3, and half of 4, which is what? 2. 3 times 2 is 6. All right? So again, if you take the time and just do that on the calculator, it's just waste of time. All right, it's a waste of time. Connor, are you with me? All right, now for question number 8. I have to do 3 squared first, and then times 4. 3 squared is what? 9 times 4 is 36 plus 6 is, so really I just have 42 divided by 7 minus 1, which is the same as 6 minus 1, which is the same as 5. All right, good little review. Honestly, guys, it really is going to be this easy for the exam. All right, it's just the facts. You have to know the facts. All right. Now, again, 9 times the square of a number. All right, 9 times the square of a number. Obviously, the answer is what? C. All right. Now, the independent variable we talked briefly about. So this is another fact-based problem. You either know it or you don't know it. All right. The independent is always the what? The x. And the dependent is the what? Y. And I used to tell kids, y is dependent upon what? X. All right? So x can be anything. Y depends on whatever you select for x. All right, that's how I remember it. Now, the independent in this scenario up here would be what? Would be the time. Thank you very much. And the dependent would be the what? Would be the temperature. All right? All right? Anybody have any questions? Again, I know, some of the questions is just about memorizing. All right? Name the ordered pair at point C. So you would say what? 8, 87. All right? 8, 87. Moving on. Go ahead. Okay, very good. So to explain what it represents, the 8 would represent time, and the 87 would represent what? The degrees, all right, or the temperature. Okay, number 12. All right, again, basic order of operation here. We have to do what first? Yes. So you should be able to just look at that and say 2 times 3 is 6, 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 minus 1 is what? 11. All right. Now, for those of you guys, does everybody see what I'm saying? Like, you can type that in the calculator, right? The calculator will always give you the correct answer if you type it in properly. All right, so that's one way I used to tell kids, just check your work, though. All right, just check it at the end. Go back and do all of them over with the calculator. All right. Same thing here. Does everybody know you can use the parentheses on the calculator? All right, but we don't need that because we know 11 minus 5 is 6 times 2 is. Then I have to do the division. 9 divided by 3 is 12 plus 3 is. There we go, guys. Agreed. 15. All right. Write the data as a set of ordered pairs. So we'd have to say 5, 4.2, 6, 5.05, 7, 5.9, and 8, 6.75. All right, question 15. All right, we're going to square x. When I do that, that becomes 9. Then I'm going to multiply x, y, and z together. So 3 times 5 is 15 times 4 is 9 plus 60. There we go. A. All right. Again, some order of operations. So right here is 29 plus. Now do what's inside the parentheses. 20 divided by 4 is 5 minus 5 is 0 times 2 is. Pretty straightforward. Okay, yes, sir.
So when you got like the 29 plus, what about the 2?
Okay, very good question. So, this has to be multiplied by 2. Do you agree?
Yeah, but does it still like, doesn't the 9 still have to add 2 or no?
So,
I mean, doesn't the 29 still have to like add 2 to it?
no, because listen, the order of operation forces you to do the multiplication, the 2 times this answer first. You hear me?
Yeah.
And that's a common mistake. 29 times 1 is 29 plus 2 is 31. No. You do 29 plus whatever the answer is to this over here. Hear me out now. Make sure you understand what I'm saying. Come on, I want you to do well. All right? So, do you understand? That highlighted blue is 0. You with me?
Oh, because you just like do the order.
Right. You have to do order of operation. You hear me?
Yeah, I get it.
All right. All right, let's take a look at 17. All right, again, combining like terms, which we've worked on last chapter a bunch, so this should be much easier now. We would say negative 2r cubed, right? So it's either what? A or C. Does everybody agree with that? Now, I also try to teach kids, when you're taking multiple choice tests and you really want to do well, I cross things out. So I don't make a mistake and accidentally grab the wrong one. Does everybody see that? All right. And then you're just telling me what is 3r squared and 1r squared? What's that? 4r squared. So now my answer has to be what? My answer has to be A. All right. Remember, keep with me now. Make sure you understand me. I'm trying to give you some techniques of how to do well on multiple choice exams when you forget something. All right. Cross things out that you know are not true. All right. You can narrow it down most of the time to 50%. All right. Now, simplifying, that's just what? Distributing, but I kind of was tricked a little bit here because I can do what first? Yeah, combine first. Now, if you don't combine first, are you still going to get the same answer? Yes. All right. But again, I always want you to be observant when you're taking an exam. So this would be 3 times 2x plus 3y. Is everybody with me on that? And then 6x when you distribute plus 9y. Is everybody happy? 6x plus 9y. Any questions? All right, moving forward. 19. Now we have to distribute twice. So this would be 2a plus 6b plus 12a plus 3b. 2a and 12a make what? 14a. So now I know it's either A or I'm sorry, B or C. So now I'm looking at 6b and 3b, which is, right. So I know my answer is B. All right. So Somerville High School raised $740 to buy winter coats for the homeless at $46.25. How many coats can they buy? How much? 16. Is everybody happy with that? That's just a basic division problem, right? All right. Look at 21 now. Which statement best describes the daily stock price? Is the price increasing?
No.
Is it decreasing?
No.
The price did not change.
Yes.
All right, very good. We say that's constant. All right, we say that's constant. All right. What is the domain? The domain is the set of what? Anybody remember? That's right, very good. The domain represents all of the x values, and the range represented the what? The y values. All right, so make sure you make a special note to yourself about that, because like I said, that's just something that might slip. All right, that's why you make a note for the vocabulary, so when you're going back on Thursday night and Friday morning, you're able to flip through and see the vocabulary. All right, that's what you should be doing. Highlight it, make it nice and big so you know they're going to ask a domain question. They might ask a range question. If you forget, there's no way of figuring it out. All right? So what are the x values that are being used? All right? So let's talk. This x value, this x value, this x value, and this x value, and this x value. Does everybody see what I did? Right? Why did I circle those locations? Because that's the x-axis. Does everybody agree? Which will tell you the x coordinates. Is everybody hearing me on that?
Yeah.
Right? That way I don't have to list them out. All right? So let me blow it up so I can make sure you see what I'm saying. Does everybody agree that this point right here is 0, 0, correct? Right? So now this point over here has an x coordinate that's what? Well, here we go. Here is my origin right here. 1, 2. Hold on. Let me make sure I find it. No, my origin is right here. So 1, 2, 3. Does everybody agree that's -4, right? So -4. Then the next one is what? -2. Then what? Then what? And then what? Right. So again, that's kind of tricky. So let's look real quick. This coordinate right here is 0, -1, -2. Well, I can't really see that very good either. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to explain again one more time what I meant. So does everybody agree that's coordinate is 0? Right? This coordinate is -1. This is -2. This is -3, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see that, right? All right. So again, I kind of understand what some of you are saying. Why is the point not on the actual dot itself? Because I don't care about the point. I only care about the what? The x coordinate, right? So watch me now. This point right here points to the what?
Oh, I thought you were just
X, right? This right here points here. That's okay. All right? This points here, right? And this points here. Those are the x coordinates that are being used. All right? That's a little tricky, okay, if you're not careful. All right? And if I asked for the range, we would just point to the y-axis. All right? So again, let me just add the range. So if I was asking you about the range, all right, I would say I'm pointing what? Here. I'm pointing here. This one is to here. This one is to here. This is to here. Does everybody see what I'm showing you, right? Instead of listing the points, I can just look at the individual x coordinate or the y coordinate. Yes.
like X and Y. Why was some pointing up and down and now you do that?
Okay, because I was asking you, let's say on the exam they say, what are the y values? What is the range? You're still going to each individual point, right? And trying to figure out what the y value is for each coordinate. You hear me?
Okay, yeah.
Another way is, for some of you, if you're confused, is just write down the coordinate for every single point. And then list the x's. Everybody good with that? All right. So here we go. What was the answer then? B. All right. All right. The sum of twice. Now, I want you to underline sum of twice. Sum means to do what? Add, and twice means to multiply by 2. So 2 operations are in order, are right in a row. So that means it's going to require a what? Parentheses. All right? So the sum of twice a number and x. All right? So, maybe I jumped ahead a little bit. The sum means to do what? Add. What am I going to add? 13 plus 2x, right? So now, generally, this is an exception, guys. This is an exception. All right, because I said when two operations in a row, it requires a what? Most of the time. All right. In this case, I'm wrong. All right. It doesn't require a parentheses here, right? Because what am I adding? I'm adding twice a number. I'm adding twice a number x. And how do I write twice a number x? 2x. And then I'm adding to it what? And I'm adding to it 13. Is everybody with me on that? All right, very tricky question. Equals, because it says is, 2 less than 3 times x. 2 less than 3 times x. All right, so the correct answer actually is what? C. All right. Yes.
But you said that it needed parentheses.
And I tried to just correct you myself and say it's not that this is an exception to the case. All right, this is an exception. All right, normally if there's 2 operations in a row, it does require parentheses. Right, and again, I probably shouldn't say. That's why I try not to say absolutes, because then they always give you what? One that's not part of that. All right, does everybody understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to make sure you understand now is why that's the way it is. Do you understand why the way it is?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, here we go. Let's look at 24. All right. So now, here it says 3 times the difference of x and y. Well, does everybody see? Is that correct?
No.
No, because that does require what? That does require parentheses. Because why? You're doing 3 times what? Yeah, 3 times the difference. That's what that would be. All right. Again, I do think it's kind of tricky, so you got to be careful. You got to read it so it makes sense to you. All right. So it's definitely not what? It's definitely not A. What? Difference means subtract. All right. If I say, what's the difference between 8 and 3? You say 5. All right. So now for B, 3 times x less than y. Did everybody see that?
Yeah.
Have to be switched, correct? All right. Let's look at C. The sum means to do what? So that's out. 3 times x minus y, that looks good, is 5 times the sum of y and 2x. All right, so we know the answer is what now? We know the answer is D. Notice I just didn't cross out A, B, and C and said I know it had to be D, because every once in a while you can make a mistake on what you've crossed out. Does everybody see that? So my advice is, if you cross things out, make sure you are confident with your selection.
So when it says less than, it's like
The order's switched.
it would be like y minus.
Like if I said I have 3 less than you do,
Yeah, like I more. So like y.
so that's why it's x minus 3. You with me on that?
Yeah.
All right, and I always try to tell kids, if you're confused, try to make up a money problem. All right, because it's easy to see what's going on with money, in my opinion. Okay. All right, so let's take a look now. Now we're going to talk about whether or not something is a function. You recall, if something is a function, the x values are not repeated. The x values are not repeated. So in this case up here, are the x values repeated? Yes. Here, right here, that is a repeated x value. Do you agree? So because it's a repeated x value, it's what? It's not a function. The other thing I want you to say is it linear anyway? Linear just means it makes a what? Makes a line. Does everybody hear me? Linear means it makes a line. So those dots don't form a line. All right? Now, I like what someone said. So it has to be D. Right? Now, this is important. Now, listen to me. Because they use this on the exam some. The relation is a function, and the relation is what? Not a function. It's got to be what? It's got to be one of those. Is everybody with me? It's either a function or it's not a function. Does everybody agree with that? All right. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show you how to take the exam smart. All right. So number what?
I have a question on 1. So what would the value of x increases as y look like?
So here you go. I'm going to show you something. Here's a graph. Right now, as x increases, the y is decreasing. Right? And what I like to do is, I always like to draw little situations here. As x is getting bigger, the y value is getting what? Smaller. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this would be what? As x is getting closer to infinity, the y value is going to negative infinity. All right, you'll be seeing that a lot in the future. All right, as x gets bigger, y is getting what? Smaller. Does that make sense? Now the other direction, look at this. If I make it this way, pay attention. As x gets bigger, what's y doing? It's increasing. Exactly right. All right, and you always read numbers from what? Left to right. So that's how you tell. All right. If the slope is negative, we say it's decreasing. If the slope is positive, we say it's increasing. Okay? So now the properties are just information. Either you remember them or you don't. This is called the what? Commutative property. Very good. And it's commutative property of multiplication. All right? 30 times 0 times 17 is always 0 because that's the 0 property. Exactly. All right? Or the multiplicative property of 0. All right? So determine which one is not a function. Which one is not a function? B. All right? The reason why is because negative 3 has 2 y values. You hear me? Now, what we say is every single one of these points that is on this graph, the x value is not repeated. You hear what I'm saying? Well, look, because of this, negative 3, 2 is also negative 3, 9. You hear me?
Okay.
And the x value, negative 3, has the same what? Has the same y value. All right, so that makes it not a function. All right, don't forget, B and D are called mappings. All right, 28A is graph, and the C is a table. All right, those are the 3 different ways that we used to list out the x and y values. All right, number 29 should be pretty simple for you. Just say m equals what? 21. All right, number 30, w equals negative 15. Come on, guys. Now, some of you, this was a weakness. All right, so just verify, double check yourself. All right. The y-intercept. Here is the y-intercept. That's the y-intercept. Where the line crosses the y-axis is the y-intercept. All right? So, what does that mean? All right? That means when you have what? 0 bracelets, the cost is what? $30. All right? So the y-intercept is referred to as the initial cost. All right? The initial cost. All right? Everybody good with that?